If you want to do well in grip sport, it's not enough just to train the implements. I strongly suggest that you mix in some feet of grip strength training in your preparation, because what we've seen over the years is that grip sport competitors who do include feet of strength training in their prep will do better than those who don't, especially if there's a medley. And that's because they're used to picking these feet items up off the ground in the way that you're supposed to. And they become kind of cross trained, and they become kind of more fully developed across the spectrum of what you might be presented with grip feeds. So if you want a primer on grip feeds, then in the comments section, just type in 8 weeks and I will get you a video I shot that is what I call an 8-week program. And it'll allow you to dip your toes in the water with a lot of different grip feeds. So just go to the comments, type in 8 weeks. That'll signal me to send you this video. So what are grip feeds? Grip feeds are lifts that they're not really contested implements or anything, but they are kind of benchmark lifts to demonstrate how well-rounded your grip is. Now, these include block weights and blob lifting, plate pinching, challenge bells, and many other things. Those are ones that would be included in the lifts. You can also include old-time strongman feats like sledge levering, card tearing, phone book ripping, and things like that that could also come up in a medley. So if you expose yourself to this on a somewhat regular basis and develop some of these skills, it's going to help you become more well-rounded. So here's a few tips on how to video your grip feats so you can get proper recognition, because sometimes people do this somewhat haphazard and you don't really know what they're lifting, they don't know the terms, etc., which is understandable when you're new. But that's also why I encourage you to watch videos by people who are well established in grip, whether it's myself here on YouTube. I don't put much stuff on Instagram. Guys like Timmy Butler and Jason Dingy and Luke Raymond and Zach Mullins. These guys are all really well versed in the grip feats in addition to the grip sport implements. So let's talk about how to film. First off, I always prefer horizontal filming over the vertical filming, but that's really up to you. Regardless of how you film, I think what you need to remember is where you're going to upload it. So the majority of stuff on YouTube is filmed horizontally, unless you're going to do a short and then it's filmed vertically. I see both on Facebook and Instagram, and probably on Instagram you have a tendency for more vertical filming. But regardless of how you set up your camera, you want your camera on a tripod. Don't just lean it against like a coffee cup on a table, which I have been guilty of before when I only had one tripod and it was taken up by someone else's camera. But like, invest in a tripod. They're like $20 and you'll be able to position it perfectly to properly capture your grip feet of strength videos. What you want to do is keep the feet item in the video at all times and make sure your video is framed properly so that it captures both the feet item from beginning to end and your body. This does not take hard. It just does not take a long time, and it's not too hard. You just have to get a little bit of practice. Just kind of set your camera up, look at the frame, how it's capturing everything, and make sure all the items and your body will be properly captured. It kind of looks goofy if you cut your head off at the top of the lockout. Plus, if someone is judging your feet for a list that's out there, then if you've cut off part of your body, then it may be tough to say, yes, he or she pulled it properly to lockout. Please do us all a favor. And when you Upload your video. Trim off the beginning and end that is all dead space. Nobody wants to see you sauntering up to your implements and, in like practically slow motion. It's boring as hell. Trim all that stuff off. The only time you don't want to trim it is if you're explaining exactly what you're doing. And then if you do that, then project your voice so everybody can hear you, speak clearly, and everybody will understand exactly what you're doing anyway. But if you're going to talk about it, then do so in a loud enough manner that we can understand what you're saying. There will be some times where it's necessary to weigh a feet item. So for instance, if you're lifting a block weight or a blob and you're lifting the end that says York, or you're lifting the end that doesn't have a number on it, maybe it says cap or something like that, then we don't know what that weighs. So that's when you need a scale. Okay. So when you're doing that, you want to keep the video rolling. Don't stop the video and then go film it. That's not good enough for proof. You want to keep the video rolling, keep everything in the video. So if you have to move to get a close up, do so carefully so that the feet item doesn't leave the video. People get kind of picky about that. And for best proof, keep everything in the video. Don't let it leave the screen. For the execution of the lift, for pretty much all grip feats, you're going to pick it up to lockout. So you want to film yourself being able to take the grip on the screen, lock it out to the while staying in the screen. And lockout is pulling the lifting shoulder back, locking out your knees and hips and shoulders, the lifting shoulder, as much as possible, okay? Without bracing. You can't be bracing a grip feat. So you can't use your body to assist the lift. You can't use your body to assist the hold. You have to show control without bracing. So sometimes there's a fine line between being able to pull your lifting shoulder back. So that takes a little bit of practice as well, because you're not supposed to touch these items to your body at all. Like I said, weigh them as needed. Think about the proper spirit of the lift. So things like inch dumbbells, a true feat, the purest variation of the feat is lifting the implement level from beginning to end. The rules for most certification lifts are that it be level at the top. But if there's a giant tilt of the inch dumbbell, that's considered a training lift, and it's considered a progression towards a proper lift, but it's not considered a proper lift in most cases. Still something to be proud of that, over time, when you weren't able to lift it in the beginning and now you're able to lift it with a tilt, then that's good, but it's just not a perfect proper lift. And then you want to control the item to the ground. So you don't have to lower it in a 4-second eccentric down to the floor, but you're supposed to put it back to the floor without it falling out of your hand. If it slips out of your hand, it's definitely a disqualification of the feet. But there should be some control exhibited when returning it back to the floor. And then finally, you want to title your video appropriately. So you want to name it correctly. So understand the proper terms. If you're using a York implement that you're calling a blob, if it's not a half 100, then you can't just say blob. In fact, it's not good enough to say blob because there's multiple variations of the blob, as I hiccup. So the best thing is to include the type of blob, whether it's an original blob or also known as Fat Man blob, blue blob, which is the actual second generation blob. So if it's a next gen blob, don't call it second generation blob. It's either Fat Man / original blob, blue blob, next gen blob. Next gen blob is actually the third generation of blob. If it's a block weight, you want to put half 100, half 95. If it's a pinch block, then often what people do is include the manufacturer with the name. If it's an inch, then you would include the weight of the inch and even the manufacturer of the inch. Plates, you would label that they are 35s, 20 kilos, 45s, or 25 kilos. Things along these lines will help you title your video appropriately so people know exactly what it is you're lifting. I've got a couple videos where Evan does a blob and plate pinch combo feat, and then also he does it both ways, so he does it right and left and then reverses the implements to the other hand, and we weigh everything, so you're going to see how to do this correctly. And a reminder, if you want an introduction to a bunch of grip feats, go into the comments section, write 8 weeks, and I'll get you my 8-week grip training video. Thanks everybody, and good luck with your grip feet training. Show the plates.
You want me to weigh the plates or no?
No, throw the blob on there. $49.6. All right, Evan's going for 220 kilos and a next gen blob both ways. Boom. And just switch them. Both ways. All right. Is the scale still zeroed? $49.6. 20 kilos.